Right, so welcome to Harold Road. We've got a bit of a problem. The point has failed on the entrance to Junction Road stabling sidings. As you can see, it's quite a vital piece of track. What's happened is the little spring underneath has gone, so effectively when a loco runs through here, it just stops dead. So I think I've got some major surgery to do, because I've got to replace this point, and it's not going to be an easy job because everything's ballasted. So right, let's see if we can come up with some kind of repair. Okay, so let's make a start here to replace this point, which has failed. Basically, it's not throwing properly, the blades aren't even touching the sides there, so I'm going to have to do some surgery. So the first thing to do is remove some of these ancillary buildings. Thankfully I don't glue things down in case of any issues, so I'm going to remove those so I can gain access to this piece of track. I'm going to have to lift this piece of track to get to this piece of track to replace the point there. So I think the best thing we can do first is grab some tools. Just going to grab some tools. Right, so I'm trying, this ballast is like rock hard. So I'm going to have to do my best to get to this piece of track work, because this piece of track work's got to come up first. I have done this before on a previous layout called Junction Road TMD, where a point failed, but I've got to be careful because the feed wires for the entire depot is there, which go underneath the track. So I'm gonna not, you don't want to be watching this in real time, so I'll cut for now, and I'll come back to you in a moment when I've got the track up. Right, we're getting there. The track is now starting to lift, as you can see. If I can get my screwdriver underneath there we go. But I need to save this other piece here. There we go, that's now coming up. There we go, lovely, lovely. So I just need to really try and get this apart. Not really the easiest thing in the world to do here, because I need to remove from here to here to the end here. Lift this up a little bit further. It's not the sort of thing I want to be doing today. I want to be doing some proper modelling, but you know, these things are sent to try us, aren't they? So I've got lots of feed wires. Ooh. Okay, there it goes. That's the offending point out of the way. Yeah, as you can see, hang on, that spring bit completely gone. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to tidy up this little area here, then I'll relay this down again and then fit the new point. Right, the track's now removed. I'm just going to clean up these connections here with a fiberglass pencil, and what I'm going to try and do is relay the new point into this area without too much hassle. Right, so I've cleaned up that area. I'm going to see if I can just lay it straight down and then re-ballast it. So we've got our new point. We've been shopping at the railway shop, and obviously I'm now going to try and fit that into there, and then I'll paint the track, weather it and ballast it. So put over there, and I shall now try and fit this point. Right, okay, so all the fish plates are there. I'm just pushing this back through, and where I'm pushing down here, there's two power feed wires, so I've got to be very, very careful here to get that in. And then 2 more feed wires just behind me here. They'll come up as well. Okay, so the point is in, successfully in. So hopefully now I can run a train, sorry, a locomotive. I'm just going to pop one on the track up here, just out of sight. And hopefully that's going to run through. Oh yes, here we go. Excellent, so that works. Phew. So now what I've got to do is just tidy this area up. Make sure it's all flat, weather the track, and then ballast it. Right, I'm just going to tidy this area up and then we'll do a little bit of weathering on the track. Right, and put a track pin there, 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 and there. I'm just going to put them into place. Put that down. And then one on the point there. Now the track is down. I'm going to re-ballast this piece here. But first of all, we're going to weather this section, the rails, and make that look a little bit more prototypical. I'm probably going to take a bit more of this ballast out here, but for now, this old dead piece of point, which is causing all the problems, has been removed. Oh, wasn't too bad, but obviously it's not something I really want to be doing today, because I want to be doing a bit more than the modelling. I wasn't expecting a points failure, definitely not. Anyway, let's get on with doing a little bit of ballasting to there. I'll put the ballast down there, and then we'll weather this bit of track. So we'll do a bit of ballasting now. I'm going to ballast up to here and just repair this section, and then we're going to weather this, paint it, and then ballast this piece as well. So what you need, what we need is this. This is Woodland Scenics Fine Grey Ballast B75. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some ballast into this little container here, and then we can just touch up that area and just open the bag up. Always be careful with this stuff because it goes everywhere. Should be careful with it. Right, I've opened up a little hole. I'll just pour some of that into there. That's all I need. Don't need a lot. Not for this bit anyway. And what I'm going to do is just sprinkle this in, like so, into the gaps where I've removed the track. Just using my finger. Take it up to almost sleeper height. Because obviously once I've ballasted this and I'll weather it again, it will look like the rest of the track, and it look like no repair has ever taken place. So all I'm doing here is using my finger and just touching up the areas where I've brought the track up when we lifted it. So that's nearly the centre section done there, nice and flat there. Just going to go in there, just do these two. I'm not going to go anywhere near this point. Just a little bit more. Do the edges now. I can do the edges of the, as we call it, the ballast shoulders. So I'm just sprinkling it, and then just using my finger, make sure that's in there properly. A little gap there. Just touch that up. Just take this up to about there. That'll do nicely. And then we'll do the same along here. As you see, just using my thumb there, just to make that correct height, that's what I mean. And there we go. So, and I can use my fingers again either side, and then put my finger through the middle, and that's almost ready there. Just a little bit more in there. just so the ballast is just below the sleeper edges. Just gonna bring that up there like so, and obviously if you've got any loose ballast on your rail sides, again just remove it with your finger. I'm just going to put a little dab in there. I can just see a little gap, and I'll just push it that way. There we go. And that little shoulder's risen a little bit there, so I'll just do that there. Here we go. So that bit is now re-ballast. Let's make sure. I'm always making sure that there's no loose stones anywhere there. There is a few just on the rail sides there. I'll just remove those with my trusty screwdriver. So we will ballast that very shortly, and I'll go through that process with you. But first we're going to return our attention to weathering this point. So I'm going to move the camera to a better position, then we'll go through what we need to do to sort that little bit out. I'm always looking for these little gaps. Looking through the camera, I can see a little gap there. There we go. So that's ballasted, and now we're going to weather this. Right, so we're going to weather these lovely steely looking tracks here, and then I'll reballast some of this when that's all finished. Now I use this Humbrol matte 160 for my rust colour. Now lots of people use the proper rust colour. I don't think it looks really good, to be honest with you. So I use this one. As you can see, all my tracks have been weathered using that colour. And all I'm going to do is just do the rail sides, paint those up. Obviously give the paint a good old shake first and a stir, and then we'll paint the rail sides. Right, so I've stirred my paint. What I've done is stirred it, shook it for 30 seconds and stirred it for 30 seconds. Now we're going to paint this piece of track. We don't want any paint to go in here or in there. So I'm going to start here and take it up to there. So we've got our Humbrol matte 160. I'm just going to go along here and stop there. So make sure you go over these little bits as well, these little nuts and bolts and things that are stuck there. It doesn't matter if there's any paint on top of that rail, that makes no difference whatsoever, because we'll just wipe it clean with the track rubber. Quite simple really. So I'm just going to go along here. I'm going over the sleeper bolts as well, and all we're going to do is paint the entire rail sides where we can see. So I don't think you really want to watch me painting the rail sides, because it'll take me about 15 minutes. So I'll put you on pause, and then you'll see the end result when I've painted it. Okay, welcome back. So as you can see, I've now painted my point in the Humbrol matte 160, and you're probably thinking, what the hell have you done, John? Well, I'm now going to clean this up using a trusty track rubber. So we'll just go over where we've been with the paint, make sure it's nice and clean, making sure the tops of these blades are okay, that's fine, lovely. And let's do across there like so. Here we go, and just go along that rail side there. I'm having to do this very awkwardly because I'm literally leaning over one of the spot lamps in the yard, so yeah, it's a little bit awkward for me to do this at the moment. So that's all cleaned up. So let's just make sure we've got electrical continuity, and we'll just bring a locomotive down. Hopefully there's still power there. Here it comes. It's going to come towards us now. It's going to cross this point work, and hopefully if I've done it right, there you go. Absolutely fantastic. Love it. So that's working absolutely fine. Brilliant. We'll just bring that back and just go and throw the point to the other direction. I'm making sure I haven't got any paint on the blade. Okay, so we'll just throw the switch or the point and just go this way. There we go. That's fine. Yeah, absolutely fine. All running perfectly. Okay, so we've painted the rail sides. What we're going to do now the paint is dry, is we're just going to ballast the point. I'm just tidying up this piece of track that we've already ballasted, because obviously you don't want little bits of ballast on your rail sides. So I'm just going along, just making sure there's no small stones on it, which it is. It's all nicely done now. So we're going to ballast this point. So I'm just going to put some more ballast in my little receptacle, and then we'll do some ballasting. So we've got our little tub, put that there, and we're going to ballast it around here. So I'm just going to do the shoulders first, as I'm sprinkling it down, as you can see, running my finger along it. There we go, along. What we don't want, and this is really important, is any ballast to go in there where the switch is. We don't want it at all, because that will cause you a lot of problems. So as you can see, I'm just putting that down. I can just tap it down slightly there. Let's add a little bit more just here. Run my finger along it, just making it nice and neat. We'll put a little bit of ballast into the middle. Don't need too much, just a little bit. Just sprinkle it in, and again using my finger, making sure it's in the right places. I'll put a little bit in there. I'll just use my paintbrush for that one. Just move the ballast around. Might need to put a little bit more just there, but that's fine. Just get rid of any stones on the sides of the rails there. My finger again. So you just keep adding it until you build it up, basically. I kind of got to keep doing this with my trying so you can see what I'm doing, really. Okay, so that's that bit. I'm just going to tidy it up with my paintbrush again, get rid of any stones on the side, and just here and here, just move that off. That's good, because you don't want any ballast on the actual sleepers themselves. Just move it off again. There we go. There we go, that's that bit done. I'm just going to clean this little bit here. Just have to stand up for this bit. Just move that around there. I sat down there just for a second, and I can just about see where these stones are going. Right, there we go. I've got some stones on the side. Just going to move them out of the way, there and there. It's basically just it's just trial and error until you get it all in the right place. I'll just move that over there a bit using my other hand. Sorry about that, I know that's going across. Just had to use that there. Okay, so put a little bit in the middle. A little bit just there. I'm not going to go any further than that. I don't want to go any further forward. I want to make sure that that switch is free of any ballast. As you can see, we've got a little bit, we've got a few granules there. I'm just going to add a little bit more just here, just to fill this little gap. That bit's fine. I'm just going to put that in there. You can use a small paintbrush, to be honest with you, but I always use my finger. I don't know why. I just find using my finger, I've got more control of where I'm putting the ballast. Obviously a little bit's flicked over there. Well, that's not an issue. Just push that off there, get that off the rail sides. Got a few stray granules there. I'll just move that into there. As I say, just keep going until you're happy with it. I got quite a bit, so I'll just move that up. Lovely. We've got a few. I'll just get rid of these little stragglers here. There you go. That's fine. And through that little section there, to make sure we've got no bits of ballast in there. So we're getting there. So I'm just going to again move some of these loose bits. It is a laborious job, I tell you. You gotta have the patience of a saint. Seriously, you have. Can you see what I'm doing there? Yeah, you can. Just checking the camera. I'm just gonna get my other paintbrush, bigger one. It all looks really messy here, doesn't it? So I'm just going to push some of that ballast into this section here. There we go. Moving it forward so it doesn't get trapped in one area. Purposely leaving that little bit of a gap there. Points are always the worst thing in the world to ballast, because if you get it wrong, you get it wrong, and you don't want to get it wrong. You certainly don't. I mean, you're looking at this now and you're thinking, cool, what a mess. But it will all come right. It will certainly all come right. I'm just going to push that over there a little bit. There you go. Lovely. Just pull some ballast forward into that little gap there. Get rid of it off the rail sides. It must be great viewing for you all watching this. You're probably thinking, whatever's this man doing? I can do it a lot easier than that. But I just, you know what? I just enjoy doing it. I don't know why, but I've got a thing about ballasting. If you got nothing better to do, and you fancy having a few hours, literally doing this, I find it quite therapeutic. I don't know why. You can hear that the local council estate kids have got their fireworks going, even though it's still October. Great. Get used to this. Sorry about that with the fireworks. It happens every year. And as you can see, I'm just going to keep doing this until I'm happy with it. Well, I'm going to switch you off just for a second, and I'll show you the finished article when I finish doing it. Okay, I've got my PVA mix ready to go, but before we do the final piece of ballasting here, I'm just going to make sure that the locos are going to run through all okay, and there's no problems with paint or any stones getting stuck between the point blades. So it's okay going that way. That's so much better, because this morning when I found out there was a broken point, it was awful. And what a point to go wrong. The first point into the depot. I mean, seriously, if a point's going to go wrong, why did it have to be there? But obviously it was. So that's all fine. That's all good. I'm just going to make sure that it runs into the, obviously, to the right as it should. Right, moment of truth. Is it okay that way? Oh yes, that's absolutely fine. So what we'll do now, we will get the PVA and glue and get it all down. I'll show you how to do that. Right, I'm just wetting the new piece of ballast with a spray bottle on a mist setting. This will help my ballast spread nicely. So I'm just going to get my ballast and we'll start to put the glue and water mix on the track. Right, so I've got my mucky mug for ballasting. So I've got 50-50 water and PVA, and I've got one of these little droppers. So we're going to suck the ballast into the dropper, and all we're going to do is go along, make it nice and wet. As you can see, I'm just coming along the ballast through the middle and down the outside, making sure it soaks in nicely. Make sure it does soak in nicely, because you want to make sure it goes everywhere you want it to go. You don't want to see any dry patches. You certainly don't. And I'm not going to put any PVA too close to the point blade there. Run that down there like so. And along there. That's nice and dry. Here we go. So you get all the dry patches. Make them all wet. Drastic, isn't it? But it does work. There you go, you've had it. And that'll soak in nicely. I'll just do the bit you can't see, which is just outside of view. In a couple of days that will harden up, and we can then do the final bit, which will be weathering it slightly. I'm just going to put a little bit just in there. There you go. So there you go, we leave that now to dry. In a couple of days we'll come back to it. That's part one over with. How to replace a point and how to ballast. I'll see you next time. Probably be next weekend when I actually get to do some proper modelling. Until then, goodbye from Harold Road.